Welcome to Cinema Express. I am Anusha, and today we have voice actor, singer, the multifaceted Andrea. அவங்களோட படம் அனல் மேலே பனி துளி வந்து நவம்பர் 18th சோனி லிவ்ல ரிலீஸ் ஆகுது. ஸோ அதை பற்றி பேச to the bunch of other stuff she is into and the expert she is. Very happy to welcome Andrea to speak with us. Thank you so much for your time and your patience. How are you, first of all?
I'm good. I'm happy that this film is releasing. It's been a long time in the making. It was a script that came to me pre-lockdown, and then, of course, like so many other films, it had to wait. So I'm glad that people are finally getting to see this film.
Great. And how are you enjoying the weather, the sun after?
Oh my God, I'm loving it. This is my favorite time to be in Chennai, November, December, Jan.
So கரெக்டான டைமில் வந்துட்டீங்க. நான் உங்களை பற்றி கொஞ்சம் இந்த இன்டர்வியூக்காக படிச்சுட்டு இருக்கும்போது ஐ ரியலைஸ்ட் திஸ் இஸ் யூர் செகண்ட் ரிலீஸ் திஸ் இயர் பட் இட்ஸ் பின் 15 years of Andrea as an actor.
அப்படிங்களா?
ஆமாம், பச்சைக்கிளி முத்துச்சாரம் வந்து 15 வருஷம் ஆயிடுச்சு. ஸோ இஃப் ஐ வாட் டு ஆஸ்க் யூ, அப்போ இந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஷாட் Andrea ஃபேஸ் பண்ண அந்த ஷாட்டுக்கும் இப்போ கடைசியாக நீங்கள் ஷூட் பண்ணிட்டு வரும்போதும் ஆஸ் அன் ஆக்டராக இருக்கட்டும் யூ மஸ்ட் ஹவ் ஃபைன் டியூன் யர் கிராஃப்ட். பட் ஆஸ் அ பர்சன் நீங்கள் எப்படி இவால்வ் ஆயிருக்கீங்க ஃபேஸிங் யர் கேமரா அண்ட் யூர் ரிலேஷன்ஷிப் வித் தி கேமரா இன் ஃப்ரண்ட், அது எப்படி இருந்துச்சு?
I have a love-hate relationship with the camera. No, but I've always, I think when I started out, I was a reluctant actor, and as you rightly said, I've had the time to fine-tune and hone my craft over the years. And back then, I was just, it was just like that.
Fluke love there.
Yeah, but now you can't repeat flukes, no? You have to, after a certain point, there needs to be some kind of process and technique that comes in. So I think I'm in that space in the past few years, I would say. And definitely, I think post-lockdown, I've done my best work. Pre-lockdown, over maybe 10 years of my career, I've had 3 or 4 films that I can really feel proud of. Post-lockdown, in 1 year, I've done 3 films that I'm proud of. So that's a great space to be in.
So what has lockdown done? The efficiency அப்படியே பூஸ்ட் ஆயிருக்கு போல.
இல்லை, எனக்கு மட்டும் இல்லை. When I was watching this film trailer, I ended up watching a lot of trailers of a lot of female artists who are the protagonists of their own films, and it made me so happy. Be it Aishwarya Lakshmi, Aishwarya Rajesh, Sai Pallavi, there are so many female actors who are doing such great work as the protagonists of their own films, not as heroines in other projects. That's a really nice thing. So it's not just for me, it's for the industry in general. I think we finally reached a space where people are open to different kinds of storytelling, for example, and also finally the realization has hit that, content is king, content matters. If you find a good story and you tell it well, people will watch it. So
no matter who's headlining
it
or
it doesn't matter. Yeah, I think this year especially, post-lockdown especially, we have seen a bunch of small films that have like hit it out of the park, and big films that have not made a mark at all. So it, it goes to show.
And as an actor, நீங்க வந்து ஸ்கிரிப்ட் படிப்பீங்களா இல்லாட்டி கேப்பீங்களா?
Script cake, most people listen. The concept of a bound script is still few and far between in the South. Yeah.
So at what point, okay, in the padam naam pananum Anel Meley Pani Thuli, it is something we have to grab on and do it in the time la, and what did you feel on the time la, that eureka moment?
So it's all, I think, like people keep asking me, how do you choose your scripts? And I keep saying, I don't choose my scripts choose me, actually. Because I'm very like the pannava venama, like narration and ayyo apdi. Because it's you have to sit for 2 hours and you have to hear the story, and some people who make good films are bad narrators. Some people who are really good narrators may not be good filmmakers. So it's so many variables. So when I remember sitting for this narration, it was actually brought to me by a friend who's also doing a role in the film. He's right here. So he is the one who said, listen, there's a nice script, I think you should hear it. And that day I woke up, I was like having a cold, I was in a really bad mood, but because it's my friend, I was like,
கேட்போம்.
பரவாயில்ல. But when I sat and it really, I felt like this is a story that needs to be told. It's such an important story, and you know, sometimes as an actor, you do film because banner நல்லா இருக்கு, director நல்லா இருக்காரு, இந்த production value இப்படி இருக்கு, இந்த hero பண்றாங்க. So for so many reasons you might end up doing a film. Sometimes you do a film because it just hits you and it stays with you, and it it's straight from the heart, that kind of film. So this is one of those films, so we actually we only set it up after that. After that we took it to Vetri sir, and he was like, definitely, it's a great film, and he decided to produce it, and that's how it happened.
So what, and any feeling irundhuchu ungalku? It was hard hitting, it just poked right into your heart mai sonninga.
It's a very empowering story. I think even when we talk about it, we say rape victim illaya. You don't say
survivor.
Yeah, that's a new, only now we talk about rape survivors. Itana varshama it was a rape victim dane. Even now most women who go through it are victimized by their families, they themselves. I mean, and it's as a girl growing up, if you ask me, would you like to be murdered or raped, I'll say it's okay, murder me please. If I have to choose between the two, kill me, it's okay. I don't want to be raped and left. That's the mentality, because it's such a stigma associated with it. So what I liked about this script is that it was such an empowering story where this woman, she does not allow herself to be victimized. She does not allow herself or anybody around her to victimize. That was such a great thing, That's why I really wanted to be part of this film.
Not asking for sympathy, but just empathy.
Just wanting justice, just wanting to be heard. No sympathy. Exactly.
Great. It's not the first time you're a very strong role play பண்ணிருக்க. Not strong role, well written role சொல்லலாம். வட சென்னை ஆகட்டும், even if it's a hero film, உங்க கதாபாத்திரம் எடுத்தாச்சுன்னா அது நகராது அந்த படம். ஆயிரத்தில் ஒரு, even in your initial stages, that woman has her own, நான் சொல்றதுதான் track. ஆமா, her own track and her own willingness, everything. So நீங்க ஒரு ஆக்டராகவும் இருக்கட்டும், இல்லாட்டி ஒரு வியூவராகவும் இருக்கட்டும், as a woman, what are your parameters to say this is a well written character? Strong, bold எல்லாம் விட்டுட்டு well written characterனா, woman characterனா என்னவா இருக்கும் உங்களோட checklist?
There's no checklist for it. It's just some, in the sense, be it a Taramani or, I think for me, actually, Taramani is the most well-written role I have.
Althea.
Yeah, pre-lockdown, if you look at my body of work, that is the most well-written author-backed role. It is such a feminist role because Ram sir himself is he's a pro-feminist kind of writer. He writes so beautifully for women. But there are no parameters in the sense. Different roles offer you different things, and sometimes like a lot of these roles may come across as this, strong woman, and it's that's why I think I liked doing this film. There's a strength, and people also look at me as saying, oh, she's very bold, she's very strong, but strength comes from vulnerability. It's not all, it's not just that, there's a well of vulnerability from which you draw your strength. That's how it really works.
True.
So yeah, no, I was just saying this, I don't know if there are parameters, coming back to your question, for an author-backed role. It's just, I think the role can be 10 minutes, it can be the whole film. What is the intent of that character? That's important. What is her intent? What is she doing? Why is she there? That's the important thing that I think.
And what is your takeaway from this film? Like the character acting, the character lendo, like in the storyline lendo, what is your takeaway? And a bit more about your character in the Parthula.
As you can see, she's her name is Madhi, and she's a small town girl. So growing up, I don't know, most people look at me and they think I'm from Bombay. I'm actually from Arkonam, know. So Arakonam is technically a small town. When I was a kid, I used to walk in the paddy fields with my grandma. I used to do all these things, and it's not a story; it's the truth. And then we moved to Chennai, and I used to miss Arakonam a lot. I used to miss the openness of the space.
Yeah.
I, yeah, city la abdi illa. You grow up in an apartment building. It's not the same thing. In my grandma's house, there was a garden with bougainvillea trees, and there was a sand pile. Then we would tie rubber tires under the tree, and all my male cousins used to like swing on it. There was a tamarind tree. They'll throw stones and pluck that. All those things we've done as children. So at heart, there's a side to me that's still like a little small town girl, and I never get to play those roles because I don't look the part.
Stereotypical.
I don't. Yeah, I don't look like a small town girl because I'm an Anglo-Indian. I'm tall. I look like a strong, like we were just discussing, the strong, bold characters. So, Annayam Rasulum is the only film where I got to be in that space. That's a Malayalam movie, it's not a Tamil movie. Adukapro, I would say it's this film. So she's a small town girl who comes to the city with her dreams and her aspirations, and her life is like this, simple, quiet life, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing extraordinary, like most people's lives are, right? And then boom, this incident happens which changes everything. And how the aftermath of the incident is the film. The incident is not the end of the story, it's the beginning. That's the beauty of the film, So, yeah, that's Anel Meley Pani Thuli. I guess that's why the title is also...
Yeah, very apt.
Yeah.
நீங்க இப்ப சொல்லிருந்தீங்க like ஒரு particular stereotype வந்து உங்க மேல இருக்குன்னு. So it's not something that happens like நீங்களாவே பண்ணது கிடையாது. அது மத்தவங்க இந்த பொண்ணு தான் இப்படி தான் இருப்பாங்கன்னு. So அதை வந்து அதை ரியலைஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு உங்களுக்கு எவ்வளோ நாள் ஆச்சு and then to break it, do you do anything or do you think okay this is going to go like that, நான் என் ஒர்க் அப்படியே பண்ணிட்டு போகிறேன் அந்த மாதிரி?
Yeah, I don't allow, I try not to, even though I am a sensitive person, I try to shut out all these things and just focus on my task, which is my work. That's it.
Let your work speak for itself.
Yes. I always think that's the best.
Great. And you're looking forward for more rural roles, small town girl.
It's not that I want to do those. It's not about that. It's just that it's the story that's important to me, right? So in this story, the story is important. She happens to be a girl from a small town who came to the city. This can happen to anybody. It can happen to Andrea also. It can happen to you also. The protagonist, as conceived by the filmmaker, happened to be this. So, for example, there were some in my own head. I was thinking, but I don't look like a small town girl. Will I be able to, pull off the look of this? Forget about the acting. Forget about the storytelling. The look of this girl. Will I be able to pull it off? So we had to work on that, and I think we did try. I hope people like it. It's not my usual look that you get to see in films that I've done. So yeah.
நான் உங்களோட ஒரு இன்டர்வியூ கேட்டுட்டு இருக்கும்போது சொல்லியிருந்தீங்க how one of the most important factors for you as a person is to be financially independent.
Yeah.
And that's not just for you, for a lot of women in the age that they have to be. It's given மாதிரி. So நீங்கள் போர்ட்ரே பண்ணுறது வந்து நீங்கள் போர்ட்ரே பண்ணுற கேரக்டர்ஸ் ஆகட்டும், what kind of an impact do you think should have for women in society who are not seen outside? Like there are a lot of people in other occupations லாம். So என்ன மாதிரி ஒரு impact, என்ன மாதிரி ஒரு reach வந்து உங்களோட கேரக்டர்ஸ்க்கு இருக்கணும்னு நீங்கள் நினைக்கிறீங்க?
So I'll go back to the first part of your question about financial independence, because growing up, my mom is a homemaker, right? So growing up, I would see my mom, like most homemakers, வந்து pretty much ஒரு accounts வச்சிருப்பாங்க where they are answerable to their husbands for how they have spent their money and what they have spent. By the way, I think if a couple of our mothers were in the finance department, our country would be thriving, because the way they roll funds, எப்படி 10,000 கொடுத்தாலும் 10 லட்சம் கொடுத்தாலும் அந்த செலவெல்லாம் முடிச்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் ஏதோ ஒரு they'll save something and they'll keep it away for a rainy day. Only homemakers know how to do that. Even me as as a woman who makes money, I cannot do that. Only a homemaker can, that skill they have, which I don't know how they have it. So yeah, anyway, going back to growing up, when I saw that, I thought I should never be in that position. You know, I should never be answerable to a man for how I'm spending my money, not even to my own father. Right?
Correct. It's your money, right?
It's my
Yeah.
money. I wanted to be in a position where I don't have to be answerable to any man, not even my own father, for the way I live my life, or I, spend my money, or, whatever it is. So it came from that. Of course, I have a lot of respect for homemakers, I have a lot of respect for them, because it's not easy. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's a
Unpaid
full-time
labor
job.
மாதிரி தான்.
It's unpaid labor, actually. Nobody should be asking them for accounts in the first place for the amount of work that they do. But that's the society we live in. That's how men have been trained to think, and women have been trained to think it's okay. Then coming to the second part of your question, which is what when I started, acting, I never thought I should be the number one. I never thought, I will retire when I do 50 films or 100 films. I want to do this many films. நான் அப்படிலாம் யோசிக்கல. Actually, what I did think about was I should leave behind a legacy of work that I'm proud of. That I'm not embarrassed to, tell people this is a film I've been a part of. I should be proud of my work. So it will not happen with every film. That's asking for too much. But I should be able to leave behind at least a handful of films like that when I retire, And people, maybe 10 years or 20 years or 30 years from now, it's not necessarily the box office hits that they remember. It's never the box office hits that they remember. It's the films that mean something. That's why that's the difference between a legacy, So, and in the process, if I can manage to inspire a woman, like especially with Taramani, that happened in a major way. I had a lot of women coming and saying, that story, it really resonated with us, and it made me so happy, because storytelling and filmmaking is such a powerful medium. It has the power to change the way a generation thinks. It shapes the minds of people. It's such a powerful tool, and it's a huge responsibility on us as actors or filmmakers. We have that power, so it's up to us to use it wisely.
So 15 years it's been there, yeah. So and the impact, நீங்க சொன்ன அந்த impact, do you think that you're on that, you've reached almost goal? I feel that you've almost reached that goal, but
I always think of how much more I need to do and how much further I need to go. That's all I think about.
And acting முன்னாடி you've been also a voice actor, இல்லையா? ஸோ நீங்கள் வந்து டாப்ஸிக் பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க, இல்லையானாக்கு பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க. ஸோ வாய்ஸ் ஆக்டிங் போதே பாதி ஆக்டிங் வந்துடும். Just that physically you're not there.
Very true.
But you'll have to feel the character mentally and verbally. So அப்படி இருக்கும்போது how has that helped you
as an actor?
As an actor, you got my question right.
It helps immensely. I think most actors don't dub for themselves. They don't. Because as you rightly said, half the performance comes through in the dubbing, and you can change a whole scene in the dubbing. You can rewrite the dialogues, and you can change the whole graph of a scene just by changing lines and changing the way you speak. It's a very important part of the job, and maybe because I'm a singer and I've also had that experience of dubbing for other people, I find it fairly easy to dub for myself, and I enjoy dubbing for myself. I can modulate the ஒரு சீனில் நான் வந்து என்னோட எக்ஸ்ப்ரெஷன் இந்த மாதிரி இருக்குன்னா I can tone it up or tone it down with my voice. It's a very important, very powerful tool. So recently for Pisasu 2, for example, நான் தமிழ்லையும் தெலுங்குலையும் டப் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். Because first time in my life I'm dubbing for myself in Telugu, but it was a good experience. Also, the bad thing about dubbing is, like in a film like this, the trauma that I go through in a scene which I've shot, I have to relive the trauma all over again when I'm dubbing. That's a very difficult thing.
You're getting my questions right. அதே மாதிரி இப்போ இந்த ட்ராமா ரோல்ஸ் பற்றிலாம் பேசும்போது this is a survivor's tale. I wouldn't want to say it's a victim's tale. So அப்படி இருக்கும்போது இந்த மாதிரி ட்ராமாட்டிக் ரோல்ஸ் பண்ணும்போது ஒரு ட்ராமா இன்டியூஸ் ரோல்ஸ் பண்ணும்போது இஸ் இட் ஈஸி ஃபார் யூ டு கட் சொன்னதுக்கப்புறம் அதை அப்படியே விட்டுட்டு போகிறதுக்கு ஈஸியாக உங்களுக்கு இருக்குமா இல்லாட்டி பிகாஸ் இட் லிவ்ஸ் இன் யூ இல்லையா அப்புறம் கொஞ்சம் சோக்ஸ் இன் யூ ஃபார் அ வைல் டப்பிங் போது யூ ஹேவ் டு ரீலிவ் அகேன்.
Yeah, no, it was not easy.
As a person,
When we shot a particular sequence in this movie, we all knew it was going to be difficult, but it surpassed all our expectations, and everyone on set was very, very affected. I broke down. I had to talk to a counselor because I had like a PTSD kind of. I had to, it was affecting me after the shoot, after the pack up, the next day, the day after
performance
that.
itself,
The experience of shooting that scene, it was affecting me later. So it takes a lot out of you as sometimes, because end of the day இந்த மாதிரி சீன்லாம் பண்ணும்பொழுது it's not an actor, it's me as a woman that's being affected, it's a different kind of thing altogether. But what went through my head is, நான் வந்து இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சீன் ஒரு சேஃப் ஸ்பேஸில் பண்ணுறேன் with the director and team that I trust, and I feel safe with actors who வந்து சீன் முடிச்ச உடனே ரொம்ப சாரிமான்னு வந்து சொல்கிறாங்க. In the real world, women go through this in a very brutal fashion, so எனக்கே it's affecting me so much, then how much it would affect those women. So what I'm feeling must be just that much of what they are going through in real life, and that really shook me up.
They get shamed.
Really shook me up. It's a very hard-hitting realization.
And ஒரு இன்டர்வியூவில் நீங்கள் சொல்லியிருந்தீங்க how beyond money you have to be creatively satisfied with the project.
Yeah.
So what is creatively satisfied na அது கொஞ்சம் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ண முடியுமா? What is that creatively satisfied?
ஒரு சந்தோஷம் வரணும் ஒரு படம் பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம். That same thing that you said, the impact. When I say I want to leave behind a legacy, which is a body of work that I'm proud to call my own. It's you can achieve that. It has nothing to do with money. Of course, it's great to be paid, and because money is a form of appreciation. It's a token of appreciation when someone values your work and they say, "This is how much we value your work," which is why we are paying you this much. It's a great feeling, definitely. But if I had to choose between being paid extraordinarily well and doing films that I didn't care about, or being paid well and doing films that I care about, I would always choose the latter.
You're a singer again, right? So inga Tamil Nadu இல்ல இந்தியால தான் there is this singer, this music, it's all film related ஆ இருக்கு. Western countries ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா there's songwriters, they sing their own everything. So singing அதுல வந்து how much are you into and how much are you into writing?
I just released an English album of mine. It was called Flavors. It came out a little earlier this year. It was another thing that we did during the lockdown, and of course for a long time, longer than an actor, I've been a playback singer. But releasing this album is a different kind of self-expression, because naane ella paatiyum ezhudirken. I've composed the songs, I've written the lyrics, and it's in a very singer-songwriter space because the songs are based on my life experiences, my life stories, So that's a new thing that I've done, which is great. And I hope, of course, there's no how do I say, the concept of a singer-songwriter as such is not really much in existence here, Somebody will compose the song, somebody will write the lyrics, somebody will sing the song. And the mari da irukku. But I think it'll all change, The space for independent music is also opening up, which is a great thing. And so hopefully 10 years from now or 20 years from now, when there's a singer-songwriter like me, she'll not have to face the same struggles that I did. That's all.
Yeah, you've already put a path, yeah.
I'm trying, one stone at a time.
Thank you so much, and it was lovely conversing with you. All the best for all your projects, Pisasu to Anel Meley Pani Thuli, ellathukkume
Thank you.
Best wishes. Thank you.